Alright, so we know law of sines. We can use the law of sines when we have a corresponding side and angle. We cannot use it if we do not have a corresponding side and angle. So basically, if you've been given information from a triangle, first step would be to draw it out and see, can I use law of sines, because that's quicker and easier. If not, you're going to have to use law of cosines, what we just talked about, or what we just saw on the previous slide. So label what we have. A is 2, B is 3, C is 60. So we do not have a corresponding side and angle, which means we have to use the law of cosines. The nice thing is there's only two options, so if sines doesn't work, cosines has to. If we want to solve this triangle, that means find every missing piece. I off to the side always list everything I'm missing. So I need side C, angle A, angle B. When we're looking at this, the only thing that we can find right away would be side C. So if we go through here and we do law of cosines, we are looking for side C, so we're going to start with that side. C squared is equal to the sum of the other two sides squared, so 3 squared plus 2 squared. That's the Pythagorean, but I always remember it because it's not a right triangle, so then we have to do a little something extra to it. So we subtract 2 times these two sides repeated every single time, times cosine of the angle that side is starting with. So we're looking for side C, that means we have to take cosine of 60. This is nice when we're looking for a side, because to get C by itself, we would take the square root of everything, and you can type that in one step. So if I type that in, square root of 3 squared, 2 squared, you guys can see it, 2 cosine of 60, tells me that side C is 2.65 units long. Now, if we know C is 2.65, I've created a corresponding side and angle. I now can do law of sines. So sine of 60 over 2.65. Doesn't matter what angle we go for, so I'm going to do sine of A over its side, which is 2. Now that does matter. If you pick A, it has to be 2. If you pick B, it has to be over 3. Cross multiply and divide. So 2 sine of 60 divided by 2.65. You have to remember to take the inverse because we are looking for an angle. So inverse sine gives me A to be 40.81 degrees. And now we know 2 of the 3 sides, so we could add them up, subtract them from 180, and that tells me that B is 79.19 degrees, and we have solved the triangle. The second form is going to be a side, side, side. So it's just a little bit more involved. Let me move this real quick. So draw what you know. We've got triangle ABC. A is 4, B is 3, C is 6. Cannot do law of sines because we don't have any angles, so that means we have to do law of cosines. I'm looking for angle A, angle B, and angle C. So when you look at these, I'm going to find the largest angle first. So that's a good rule of thumb. So we're going to look for C first, which means because I'm looking for angle C, I have to start with side C. So 6 squared equals the sum of the other two sides squared, minus 2 times 3 times 4, always repeat those two sides, cosine of C. So now it's a little different in that I can't just take the square root. So we're going to pull everything over. If you go one step at a time, you're less likely to make mistakes. I'm going to go through everything separately. So 36, 9 plus 16 gives me 25, minus 24, cosine of C. A huge mistake that people make at this step, let me zoom out a little bit, is they think that they can combine 25 minus 24 cosine of C into 1 cosine of C. That is not possible. Think of this as 25 minus 24x. You cannot push them together. We can combine the 36 and 25. So when we do that, we get, what is that, 11 equals negative 24 cosine of C. Divide by negative 24. And that's going to leave, you could type that in, I'm just going to leave it, because when you see what we've got here, cosine of C, that tells me if I do inverse cosine of 11 over negative 24, that's going to give me angle C to be 117.28 degrees. So I'm going to put that over here. Now at this step, from step 1, a shortcut, you could type in 6 squared minus 3 squared minus 4 squared and that will give you 11. So you don't have to necessarily write it out, but if you're prone to making that mistake of combining unlike terms, write them separate. Now if I know C, we have a corresponding angle inside, I can do law of sines, which is nice. Law of cosine should only be used once, so we'll say sine of 117.28 over its side, which is 6. Doesn't matter, I'm going to go for A, so sine of A over 4, cross multiply, 0.28, and divide by 6. Remember inverse sine. That tells me that A is 36.16. If I subtract from 180 with my A and C, I get B to be 26.56 degrees. So all of my angles have been solved for. Always double check. Your largest angle should be across from the largest side. The smallest angle should be across from the smallest side. So yes, I have done it correctly. It's just a good way to go back and make sure you didn't make a mistake.